Hey everybody, it's Babette with Haggerty Dog Training, and I'm going to give you a twofer for Thursday. We're going to do a Throwback Thursday, and today is Thursday's Q&A. And I have a lot of great topics I want to discuss. I know I'm a little bit later than I usually am, and I apologize. Got a lot going on. I'm moving in 2 weeks. I have to go down to Florida for dog training for the month of May, but I'll be back and forth here, just juggling a lot. And spring is coming and May is coming. It's one of my favorite months of the year. And the weather's absolutely beautiful here in New Jersey, which is a really nice welcome change. So a couple of things I want to talk to you guys about. The first thing is, and if some of you are my Facebook friends, you might have seen that I posted it. There was a blind man in, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It was in Florida. He was kicked out of a restaurant. He was there with his white cane, which is indicative not all blind people, but a lot of blind people will use a white cane to help them navigate. He was there with his dog in a harness, and they kicked him out of the restaurant. So they ended up going to the news, and the news called the owner of the restaurant, who said, she wasn't there, but they were trying to crack down on these fake service dogs. Now, I don't know a dog trainer out there that doesn't get ticked off about these fake service dogs. I don't know a legitimate service dog user that doesn't get ticked off about these fake service dogs. And, I could go on and on and on about this, so I am going to start here on my soapbox. Please quit passing your dog off as a service dog. In this circumstance, this guy was there with a friend. He was legitimately blind. He was there with his legitimate guide dog, and he got thrown out. And he even said, all I wanted was a hamburger. That's all I wanted was a hamburger. Now, the long story on this is, not only did this guy not get a hamburger, not only did this restaurant get, I dropped something. Not only did this guy have an unpleasant experience, really, let's pass on kindness to people. He had an unpleasant experience at this restaurant with his friend, but the reason why is because the owner wanted to crack down on the service dogs, but I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I saw a squirrel. Anyway, so the long story is, not only did this restaurant get bad publicity, if he takes this to the district attorney's office or the Division for Civil Rights, she's going to be paying him a lot of freaking money. And if she's not paying him a lot of money, she'll be paying the state of Florida a lot of money. And if he really wanted to, he can take it to the next higher level and go to the Department of Justice. And I can assure you, if you think that they're not going to go after these small businesses, they absolutely will. I know personally people who have done it, have gone up to, Division of Civil Rights, filed complaints. And, the amount of money, I think the minimum fine in the state of New Jersey is $10,000. Try taking that out of a small business owner's pocket. It's very expensive. Now, why did this owner, want to cut back on these fake service dogs? Because there's so many people out there with these dogs that are not legit service dogs. We had a lady that called us last week, and we were, you have to be careful what you question them on and how you ask them what tasks they need the dog to do. And we were trying to figure out if she legitimately needed a service dog or she just wanted to pass her dog off. And the bottom line was, she was faking it. She wanted us to sign off on the dog. She wanted to be able to say that her dog was a service dog. I can't tell you how many people call us every single week. Oh, can you give me certification for my dog? All I want is a letter. I want to fly with my dog. Can you write a letter for me? No, we're not doing it. Okay, because you're looking for a loophole in the law, and you're going to make it bad for people like this blind guy who got kicked out of a restaurant with his legit service dog. So please stop, feeling like you need to bring Fluffy everywhere you go. You don't. Fluffy is just fine at home. And if Fluffy's not fine at home, then take Fluffy to the daycare. Right? Or have a dog walker come in. Fluffy will survive without you. I had visions during the lockdown, and I think there was even a meme that went around like, why is my owner home? My owner doesn't leave me alone. Why can't my owner go back to work? I can't wait for this lockdown to be over. Because you know what? Sometimes dogs, like humans, they just want to be left alone too. You don't have to be attached to your dog, attached to the hip of your dog 24/7. Your dog will survive 5 hours without you while you go to the grocery store. Okay. And when I see somebody, or I have a friend who, she FaceTimed me one day, she was in Publix down in Florida. And we're FaceTiming, and she's showing me this lady who's got her dog that's barking at everybody in the shopping cart in a supermarket. And there's no way this dog was a service dog. And people started saying something to her because Publix wasn't going to say anything to her because they don't want to get sued by this crazy lady who's completely flat out dishonest. This dog was not a service dog. He was untrained, he was ill-behaved, etc. So, please think twice about you trying to pass your dog off as a service dog, because I can assure you your dog is probably not going to have enough training. We get people all the time, yeah, but my dog can do all those things. Or like the lady said to us last week, well, why is it 100 hours? What if I just train my dog for 50 hours? I'm like, anyway, I could go on, and I could spend an hour talking about it. But please, people, if you guys have a dog that you want to pass off as a service dog, don't. Think about the hard time you're giving other people. Okay, the people who legitimately need it, please don't be so self-centered. Leave your dog home. Your dog is fine. You do not need to bring your dog everywhere you go. I promise you that. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that for right now, because I'm going to say a few more things later on that are going to upset a few more people. All right, when it comes to aggressive dogs, we had somebody this week that they did a lesson with us. The dog's just an aggressive dog. The dog doesn't have a good temperament. I'm not going to sit here and explain why. Dog just doesn't. And she said, oh, I'm going to call a few places and place him. Okay, so we told her, listen, you need to disclose your dog's bite history. Your dog has already bitten, 4 or 5 times already, broken the skin. Your dog is a problem child, unfortunately. And, I'm not going to fault this woman. She's trying to do the right thing for her dog. But, what we tell people, when you have an aggressive dog, you have 4 options. One option is, and I tell people, when you're listing out these options, write out a list of pros and cons of each option. Then once you write out that list, put it away, sleep on it, and the next day you are going to have your answer. Your first option is keep the dog and do nothing. The second option is keep the dog and train him. The third option is give the dog away. And the fourth option, which I know people are going to freak out when I say it, is put the dog to sleep. Okay. If your dog is a bite risk and your dog has injured people, I can assure you, giving your dog away to the family with the big yard, or as they used to say, I'm sending him to a farm out in the country where he can run and play. If you think that's a better home for your dog, it potentially is not. I remember one time my dad was saying, oh yeah, I'm going to send him to the country where he can run in the fields and roll and jump over the hills and just run and chase the deer, for him to run out into a highway and get hit by a truck. That's no life for a dog. Okay, so the fantasy land where people say, oh, I just sent him off to the country and he'll be fine. No, not necessarily true. And, truthfully, who's going to take better care of your dog than you are? You have to think about that. What's the safest thing for your dog? What's the safest thing for the people around your dog? I'm not telling you what the answer is. That's an answer for you and your conscience and your dog. And I'm sure you'll make the right answer. So you'll come up with the right answer. But I want to just review these 4 things. Write a list. 1, you can keep the dog and do nothing. Write a list of pros and cons of that. You can keep the dog and train it. Write a list of pros and cons on that. You can give the dog away, write a list of pros and cons about that, or put the dog to sleep and write a list of pros and cons on that. I'm not going to tell you the answer on that. I will tell you, however, if you are going to give this dog away, or any dog that's biting dog, your dog that's bitten people, you need to disclose the history on this dog. Otherwise, you are going to end up with a lawsuit on your hands later on if you do not tell people. You also have to keep in mind, what kind of responsibility are you giving the people? You need to let them know what kind of responsibility they're taking on. It's only the fair and right thing to do. Not just the fair thing for the people, but the fair and right thing to do for the dog. So, on that note, I will move on. Now, John, one of my favorite viewers, I'm going to name you the president of my fan club. If my dog bites me, can I bite him back? Oh, come on. No, don't bite your dog back. That's not going to teach them anything. Anyway, so I'll go back to, okay, so I talked about rescue. I've got to do my little checklist here. All right, I'm going to talk about golden retrievers. Somebody did ask me, why are golden retrievers, why do they have an aggression problem? It's a really good question. Golden retrievers were relatively unknown in the early 70s. And they were a gentleman's gun dog. That's what they were bred to do. Okay, they come from Scotland. It's a lovely breed of dog. However, like all breeds that gain popularity, you can potentially start having problems. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this. There are lots of types of breeders. I could break it down, but for the ease of this, I'm going to say you have your responsible breeders, people who really care about the breed, they're vested in the breed, they do the health testing, they show their dogs, they prove their stock to other people in the form of conformation shows, obedience trials, agility, etc. They prove that their dogs are quality dogs before they breed them. They know all about the parents, the grandparents, the great-grandparents. They know the entire pedigree, also known as the lineage of the dog. Okay, you have those kinds of breeders. Then you also have Joe and Sally buy a golden retriever from Bob down the street, and they think, oh, it'd be great if our children could watch a dog give birth because it's a natural fact of life, and everybody should enjoy the joys of childbirth, puppy birth. So they go and they find another golden retriever that they met at the dog park, and they decide that they're going to have puppies because they think it's a wonderful thing. Well, having puppies is great for about 2 weeks, and then the work really sets in. But even in those 2 weeks, you're cleaning up after these dogs constantly. You're making sure they're getting their mushy food. You're making sure that mom's keeping clean and that the puppies are eating. There's a lot of work in breeding a litter. And then you also have dogs that are more mass produced. I'm not going to give it labels. I'm just going to say you have everything from commercial breeding kennels to kennels that you'll find out in the Amish country, kennels that are God knows where, but you find them on 1-800-puppies.com or whatever. I don't even know if that's a real website, but I'm just making that name up. And those are people who just breed the dogs. They're cute puppies. They breed them. They make money on them. You know, you figure they don't put a lot of money into the breeding of the dog as far as health checks. You know, do they check their eyes? Do they check their hips? Do they check their elbows? Now, let me also make a little side note here. It's not just checking the elbows or checking the hips. Oh, gee, he walks fine. His hips are fine. No. You took the dogs and you sent their x-rays. You went to the vet and you sent your x-rays off to the Orthopedic Foundation for Animals or for the Penn Hip certification. You actually had them x-rayed, graded on whether or not the dogs are dysplastic, what grade of dysplasia do they have, if they have any, etc. Mark DeMello, how are you? It is so good to see you. Oh my God, she's gotten so big. Look at your little girl. She's beautiful. It's really nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We're just talking about golden retrievers and breeding. So then you have these breeders that just breeding puppies. They're selling them for $1,000. You know, maybe they put $500 into the breeding because all they're doing is feeding the mama. And you figure they're selling the puppies for $1,000, that's $6,000. You know, it's some fast cash. You're not really declaring it to the government. It's some quick cash. I know a local mom who does that with doodles of, I don't know if it's Labradoodles, Golden Doodles. She's constantly breeding her bitch, her pet. And it's side money. I don't even know how much money she makes, but I know she was at a party one night bragging about how much money she was making breeding her dog. So then you have those kinds of breeders. I'm not going to give them any labels. I hate labels. So having said that, now going back to the real question, which was why are golden retrievers, why do they have an aggression problem? Because you have a lot of breeders who are not testing their dogs. They're not testing their temperament. They're not testing their health. They're just breeding them. They don't keep track of them. Like, for example, every single one of my dogs I have, at any time, and I've got one that's as old as 10, I can call up the breeder and say, hey, what's going on? And you know what? They can tell me exactly what's going on with every puppy that was in my puppy's litter, in my dog's litter. Okay, because not only do they know the past, they also know the future. They're watching the dogs as they go ahead. So good breeders are going to be able to know, like, oh God, you know, that one litter I bred with Fred and Ginger, I'm seeing some aggression. Well, guess what? I'm going to stop using Fred and Ginger. Okay, they're going to have their dog's temperament tested. They have their puppies temperament tested in the litter. So one of the questions you want to ask of a good breeder is, what kind of testing do you do? Okay, go to the parent club's website. Find out the testing that's required, the testing that's suggested, whether it's surf for the eyes, hips, elbows. Most breeds are that. Find out, ask the breeder, well, what testing do you do? When do you do temperament tests on the puppies? Which temperament test do you do? You know, what kind of environment are the puppies being raised in? Are they being raised like in a kitchen, in a home environment? Or are you just calling 800gotpuppies.com and calling some random kennel in the middle of God only knows where, and they're shipping you a puppy? These are things you have to keep in mind. So why are golden retrievers having an aggression problem? Because you have so many people that bred these dogs over and over and over again and didn't really care about whether or not they were showing temperament problems and didn't stop the temperament problems from continuing on and propagating. So that's something that is one reason why golden retrievers have aggression problems. Not saying that they all do, but you know, definitely some of that temperament has been lost over and over and over again. It's just sort of I can't think of the word. It just continues on and on. So I hope that answers your question about the golden retriever and why are they aggressive. Any breed that is bred a lot, you're going to start losing the good qualities of the breed. You'll also increase your bad qualities. However, when people are breeding responsibly and properly, you're going to lose a lot of those bad qualities. So that's why you want to go to a good breeder. Okay, so I'm going to read to you a text. This is my pseudo Throwback Thursday. And, I have to wrap this up soon because I have an appointment in 6 minutes. Okay, so I'll have to continue a lot of this. Okay, so let's see. I've been thinking about, this is from a trainer friend of mine. I've been thinking about how it is important to change an owner's behavior in an effort to have the dog change its behavior. Then I think about how we behave as trainers, our gait, and how we teach owners about how to walk dog. Then there was Captain Haggerty, whose gait wasn't exactly fluid, especially as he got older. He seemed to be floating along. The dog on the end of his leash was perfectly clear on how and where it needed to walk. Point is, maybe we arrange ourselves too much and should be arranging the dogs with that clarity that your father magically showed them. Not all about the approach, but more about the communication. Have a wonderful day. Think I'll hang with my dogs and catch a nap. Love. So think about, I'm going to leave you with this. I had a few things I want to talk about, so maybe I'll do a part 2 in a little while. But think about this. What are you teaching your dog? Are you teaching your dog to follow you, or are you arranging yourself for your dog? I can't tell you how many times in our training center here in Midland Park and in Florida, we're always saying to people, is that your natural pace? Walk your natural pace. Just walk. Don't worry about the dog. Think about the mother duck when she's walking with her ducklings. They're following her behind. They're like, got to keep up with mama, keep up with mama. Because what ends up happening is if they don't keep up with mama, they're going to be left behind. And they're going to get lost or squashed by a car. I hate to say it, but that's the reality. That's what you need to do with your dog. Just walk. Just go. Don't wait for your dog. Don't look to your dog for permission to keep going. Walk to your own pace. Give your dog the energy that you're in charge, not your dog being in charge. I had a couple in here yesterday that they had gone to another trainer. I'm just checking the time. I'm going to have to sign off here, guys. I'm sorry. Long story short, they had another trainer. And, they said, well, the dog doesn't like it when we put the collar on at the door. And the trainer said, well, move the dog and bring the dog, to the other room to put the collar on the dog. And, the dog doesn't like it when my husband sits next to me. Okay, well, when your husband wants to sit next to you, put the dog in the other room. Like, who's in charge? The dog is in charge. And that's exactly what the owner said. Our dog is in charge. We're not in charge. Can you help us? Yes, we can help you. They're starting school here in a couple of weeks. Anyway, I do apologize. I have to cut myself short. I'm going to try to do a part 2 in a little while, but I do have a conference at 2:45 I need to get in on. So thank you again. It was really good to see Mark and John. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great day. Be safe and enjoy the weather, and have a great day, everybody.